comes out. They declined to get the ball to start the second half. Went 3 and out. John Abernathy, though, gets a great punt inside the 2. Next play, the Oshkosh defense was like, you want to what? We'll get some points on the board for the offense, and Curtis Jaskolke did just that.
Oshkosh lining up to send 5 or 6.
Everything was going good. 16-0. Dante Evans, I mean, the kid was unbelievable. 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. I mean, just as we were looking at it, it was 16-13 going into the fourth quarter, and Stout ran away with it. Adam Moen, 323 passing yards, and then had a tush-push rushing touchdown. I mean, this kid can do it all. I mean, what do you got to add on him?
Adam Moen, I got to add is that he had 82 yards passing for 8 of 15 and an interception at half, and only 14 yards on 6 carries on the ground. In the second half, or total, he actually ends up with 315 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 17 for 28, that 1 interception, and then 11 carries for 19 yards. We stopped him on the ground, but boy, did he take over with his arm in the second half.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The leading rusher for Stout was Chandler Ross, only 38 yards. I mean,
and that was a focal point for both these teams. Oshkosh, 26 rushes, 49 yards. Stout, 24 rushes, 69 yards.
The big thing we got to talk about, you look in the box score, A.J. Korth, Doug Burson, Emil Jackson, Quentin Keene, Javon Murray. Justice, who is one guy that is not there in that box score?
That's the transfer, man, Ben Volavsky.
He was not. We didn't even have an injury report on him. We were fully expecting him to play, and he was in street clothes on the sideline. I mean, it was unbelievable because that pass rush. I mean, for Stout, one guy that we kept calling his name, Justice.
Blaine Seidel, and that's another thing that I had highlighted. First half, Oshkosh gave up 2 sacks. In the second half, 4. I mean, the offensive line crumbled. And, I mean, you can kind of give theories as to what you want. JoJo Nathaniel went out, I think it was late third quarter, early fourth, if I can remember correctly. And he never returned. And it kind of just wasn't the same ever since. Oshkosh, in that second half, this is unbelievable. Punt, 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 interception, turnover on downs.
It was injustice. We were there. We were speechless by the end of the broadcast. It was nuts.
And it's the complete opposite. How did they get the ball in those drives? Obviously, they started the second half with getting the ball on a kickoff. Then they received another kickoff, another kickoff, another kickoff, another kickoff, another kickoff. And if you don't know football, guys, that means Stout scored every single time to kick off the ball to Oshkosh.
And now time to look at the hot takes. Justice, where's the offense of the Titans that put up 38 points against Roosevelt? Where's the team that we all saw? I feel like the big thing is Ben Volavsky is the center of this offense. We can say that it's everybody else. Ben Volavsky puts the ground game together, and he's basically carrying this Titan team everywhere he goes.
Yeah, we talked about it on the way up. There's that lack of identity that Oshkosh has suffered from kind of all season before Ben rushes in this game. 11 guys catch the football for Oshkosh in this game. Now, I love, like, the Packers, you know, we don't have a receiver one. We got kind of it for London Little, and then Clayton Schwalbe had a couple of big catches where he kind of imposed himself. Physically, but other than that, it just lack of identity. I mean, missing Ben Volavsky seemed to really throw this game on top of its head.
And the big thing is, though, it does. Because he's a veteran on that offensive line at one of the guard positions. People say the guards are not really that big of a deal. They secure the A-gap. Blaine Seidel really didn't have a big impact when JoJo Nathaniel was in there. When JoJo Nathaniel wasn't in there, Seidel was going with stunts. He was finding an open gap, and he was wreaking havoc every place he went. I mean, I think this guy really has a good opportunity to be WIAC Player of the Week. He has everything. And the other part, Kyle Dietzen had 10 total tackles. Blaine Seidel at 13. When is there a time where Kyle Dietzen, who's probably one of the best middle linebackers in the conference, gets out-tackled?
And that's because, I mean, Oshkosh did such a good job of shutting the run game of Stout down. Dietzen kind of more of a run support guy. I mean, obviously he's going to get in on the quarterback there, but when you only have 2 sacks for the game, or one sack for the game for Oshkosh, you're not going to get that production from Dietzen. And it's unfortunate because, I mean, he went from D3 player of the week to getting kind of outshined by Blaine Seidel, who looked like a dog. He
100% was a dog. And Justice, it's time to look over. We're going to throw Stout out the window. We're going to get the bad mojo of that. We're going to look at probably the biggest game in Oshkosh history. It's the 100th homecoming. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great vibes. It's going to be great. But Eau Claire's still a really good football team. Yes, their record doesn't show it. They're 3-2. There's a couple of guys on the defensive side of the ball that I've already started prepping for. They're 2 defensive linemen. They're both sophomores, and they're both from Lodi. Their names are Brady Poles and Henry Keppen. Henry Keppen was a state qualifier wrestler for Lodi. I got to see him wrestle a couple of times when I was at Lake Mills. I got to play football against Brady Poles and Henry Keppen. Henry Keppen is a guy that teams need to look out for. He's second on the team. He's tied for first on the team in tackles for loss with 2.5. Brady Poles leads the team in QB hits with 7, sacks with 2, and 2.5 tackles for loss. I mean, both guys are young players. They're sophomores. But the only thing is, though, they know how to play good football and how to wreak havoc. Brady Poles it shows right now, 6'3", 263. Like, that's not the biggest size of a defensive lineman, but, I mean, he can play football. He's like a Blaine Seidel on the defensive line. He's got a quick first step. He's going to be a guy that the Oshkosh offensive line has to hone in on, because both guys are coming off great seasons. Brady Poles played a little bit of time, but he was the Quick Trip Newcomer of the Year. I mean, these guys are both going to wreak havoc, and they got to be able to settle. The Oshkosh offense has to find a way to get a good pass set, to give it Quinn Keene some time, or else Brady Poles and Henry Keppen are going to have a field day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always partial to the secondary defensive back. Shout out to Rivers Ramblers. You know, my position back when I played way back when. Oh, boy. And Max Marty is a guy who I seem to have highlighted. 6'2" safety, sophomore out of New Glarus. He's got 3 interceptions and 2 pass breakups. Those 3 interceptions all in separate games. One against Kenyon, one against Martin Luther, and one against La Crosse. This guy looks like he's a ball hawking safety who is going to read the quarterback's eyes. And Quentin Keene doesn't really move guys with his eyes often. You see, when he's looking at a guy, he's very often throwing to him.
And like you said, the big thing is going to be Quinn Keene being able to try and get the ball away from other guys. But on top of that, though, it's got to be able, can Oshkosh be able to find some offense? But on the defensive side of the ball, Aiden Helder, who's the quarterback, has 2 WIAC games, and he's only a sophomore. So this whole, basically, team for Eau Claire is a bunch of kids that are freshmen, sophomore, getting a lot of playing time. I mean, it's more or less they're trying to build something to be able to be competitive in 1 to 2 years. He's thrown for 236 yards against Stout with 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Against La Crosse, 194 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks, and 8 carries, 35 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, this Eau Claire team is not one you want to sleep on if you're Oshkosh. And also, they're going to be like any other team. If you're in high school, if you're in college, if your schedule has the homecoming game, a team is saying that you are not good enough. And Eau Claire might come in with a little chip on their shoulder, and Oshkosh has to be able to hone in and play their best football when it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, for both these teams, it's a must-win. Oshkosh, because they need to bounce back from the devastating loss at Stout. For Eau Claire, they're already sitting at 3-2. Another loss, you're probably looking at not a dead season, but certainly not a very productive one. But I mean, again, this is a program that's kind of just trying to build, and the quarterback, like you said, Aiden Helder. I mean, for a sophomore, only 2 interceptions at this point of the season. You like to see that. I mean, taking care of the ball, a 151.2 quarterback rating, a 67% completion percentage. Really like those numbers.
And Justice, I'd like to add on Max Marty. I prepped for him too. Him and Helder, they didn't record a single stat last season. This is a team that is very young, inexperienced, that basically is trying to still provide a good team. And I think Oshkosh needs to be able to have the best week of prep. They have to be able to make sure that Ben Velasquez is healthy. They got to make sure JoJo Nathaniel is healthy. You got to have the big guys to be able to make plays. And one guy that I think we need to talk about, Clayton Schwalbe, season high in catches with 5 for 53 yards on Saturday.
And tackles.
He did have that one tackle on a blocked field goal. But, I mean, it's good to see Clayton Schwalbe finally getting the ball. But it's more or less you got to get him the ball in the red zone a lot more. He's going to be a guy that can help this Titan team with London Little. Because everybody's going to hone in on London Little. A lot of people forget about how good Clayton Schwalbe is of a tight end. He's 6'3", 250 pounds. He's a freight train when he's got the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, he was all-region 6th, 3rd team last year, all WIAC 1st team, and he just has not gotten enough touches this year. He's so imposing physically. I mean, at the end of the game, I don't know if it was the sports information director or the assistant sports information director. They walk in and they're like, "Who's number 7?" I mean, that's Clayton Schwalbe. That guy is a train, the Clay train.
He's unbelievable. Jacob, what would you have to add for Oshkosh going in to the homecoming week, where it's basically a lot of pressure because of the 100th homecoming, but also you have a loss, and if you have 3 losses, you're kind of trying to be able to put out the flames with this season. But also, like what we've added, what do you think Oshkosh and Eau Claire both have to do to come out victorious in this game?
Well, obviously for Oshkosh, it's just put some points on the board in the second half. I mean, you can't put up 2 points in an entire half relying on a safety against anybody in the WIAC. I mean, you look at Eau Claire, right now they're averaging 28 points a game. Oshkosh averaging 24 points a game. Now, I get that Eau Claire, I mean, they really didn't play the same teams that Oshkosh did the first 3 games, especially not the number 1 team in the nation. But still, I mean, to be averaging 28 points a game, that means your offense has to be pretty good. Now, Eau Claire's defense sometimes has, gotten the better of them, especially last week against La Crosse, where they were beaten 41-21. I believe that was the final score in that one. But, I think that both of these teams can put up points, but we just cannot see a 4 straight drive, 5 straight drive, 3 and out punt situation like we saw against Stout. And you look at the upcoming schedule for Oshkosh too, it's only going to get tougher from here. Because Eau Claire is definitely not the worst team in the WIAC. That's Stevens Point, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. But after Eau Claire, you got to travel to UW La Crosse. Then you got to travel to UW Platteville. Now La Crosse, number 4 in the nation, Platteville, number 13. Then you pretty much get a home win in Stevens Point. I have a good relationship with some of the guys over there at Stevens Point, but I think we're all kind of honest here that Stevens Point still, they've done a lot better. They've been working their way up. I mean, they started out the season 3-0, but they're still not quite up to par as the other teams, so that one's going to be a win for Oshkosh. And then you end the regular season at home against UW Whitewater, which, let's be honest, over the past couple of years, Whitewater has completely owned the Titans. So I think what we're going to see against Eau Claire is going to kind of be an indication of which way the rest of the season is going to go for Oshkosh. If they struggle against Eau Claire, then I don't think it's looking good, and we're going to end up in the same spot that we have been basically the last 3 years, which is out of a bowl game, out of the playoffs, maybe fighting for a tie for 4th. And if we see something different here, if we see them come out and absolutely destroy Eau Claire, I think we have a real shot that maybe they can compete for that 2nd spot in the conference. But especially after this game against Stout, I am not hopeful. As you guys know, I was the one last week who told you guys to watch out for Stout. I'm completely honest, I don't know if after this win, if they can actually win the conference.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And I thought your point about the second half was even better. I don't know what happens when Oshkosh goes to the half with a lead, but they seem to kind of just sit on their hands in the second half. I don't know if it's the passive play calling maybe, or like we were trying to say, put the pedal to the metal, man, and kick these teams out. Don't let them back into the game. And Oshkosh has continually done that. They did it against River Falls at home. They definitely did it this Saturday. They just have to take control of games when they're there for the taking. And this game was certainly there for the taking.
And final point for this, as then we'll move over to all the other sports in UW Oshkosh over the weekend. But just as you and I both heard it, we saw it, Stout feeds off their crowd. It was a loud environment down in Nona Williams Stadium. They feed off that crowd. We heard through the shotgun mic most of the game, when Oshkosh was rolling, you could hear a pin drop. When anything would happen for Stout, the fans were loud. It was a rowdy place to be. And, I mean, that's what Titan Stadium has to be if they want to win. You got to feed off the crowd energy. Any place you play at. When you're home, you got to feed off the fans and the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, what I gave you a guess going in, I was like, I think there'll be like 3,000 people there. Pretty good guess, 2,738. And it felt like it. It honestly felt like more. I mean, it was a fun environment to be in. I mean, obviously not as the opposing team, but it was very, very clear that, like we said, after the first touchdown for Stout, it felt like we were losing the game, and we were still up 2 possessions. But Stout just kind of took over, and Oshkosh never kind of recovered, ever.
And now it's time to look at the other athletics for the Titans. The women's soccer team fell to UW Stout on Saturday, 2-1. Women's swim team ended up losing, but they opened up their season with a loss, 170-65 at UW Eau Claire, as well as the men's team, who was not victorious. They were outscored 184-51. And then the men's cross country team, they finished 3rd out of 7 teams. And Justice, what do you got to add on the other Oshkosh athletics that had happened over the past week and weekend, with volleyball getting a sweep against Carroll on Wednesday as they go back into WIAC play on Wednesdays? They make a trip up to UW lacrosse and take on the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, this is a part of the season where it kind of starts to get hard for volleyball, right? I mean, it's gonna. I gotta look back at that schedule because I can kind of see it in my head thinking about it, but
it's a tough schedule.
Yeah, now you're gonna get lacrosse and Platteville, and then that gauntlet begins.
Number 13 in Colby, number 4 in Whitewater, and you're in Whitewater's place.
Both of those are actually in Whitewater.
Number 7, Illinois Wesleyan. Number 5, Juniata. And then ending the season against number 8, Eau Claire.
So, interesting. Their last game at home is going to be October 22nd until they return November 7th for the final game of the season against Eau Claire. That's a crazy road trip. You're playing number 13, number 4 in Whitewater, and then you're playing number 7, Illinois Wesleyan, and number 5, Juniata in Bloomington, Illinois. I mean, that is about as hard as it gets. And we thought the football schedule was hard. Volleyball, trying to one-up them later on in the season.
And the big thing is, though, winner of it all, as Oshkosh leads the conference in a big way after UW Whitewater fell to UW Eau Claire earlier. So that UW Oshkosh versus UW Eau Claire can set up who's going to be hosting the WIAC championship and who's going to be the one having to go on the road to try and still get a spot, which I think Whitewater Oshkosh and Eau Claire will all get a spot in the NCAA tournament. But I mean, it's going to be this is going to be the biggest test of can the Titans ride the wave into the postseason.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This lacrosse team isn't just a layover either. I mean, they took a set from Whitewater. They beat number 23 University of Dubuque, Iowa, in lacrosse. They could certainly upset the Titans if the Titans are not prepared and kind of play down to their competition.
Well, I just wanted to say, I mean, you look at this WIAC standings right now. Oshkosh with a 1-game lead over Whitewater. That Oshkosh-Eau Claire game, that's going to essentially be the WIAC title game. And we might even see it twice because of the way Eau Claire has been. So I think that one, while they're not necessarily, just thinking about that game, I'm sure that one is in their minds just completely circled because they know that are they capable of beating Whitewater? Yes. Is it going to be tough to do that in Whitewater's house? Yes. But you look at Eau Claire, is 3-0 this season, conference play 19-2. They almost have the same record as UWO when it comes to volleyball, and I think this is a team that you cannot overlook. And going back to against UW lacrosse, right now lacrosse is 16-8, in their overall record. Their conference play has not been too great this year at 0-3. So I don't think I'm as concerned for this contest, especially too when you look at their match wins that they've had. Most of the time when they've beaten an opponent, it's come in 3 sets. 6 of their wins have come by the 3-set mark. And you look in the 4th and 5th sets when they get their victories, their opponents actually have had more wins in the 4th set than they have at 5-4. So I think Oshkosh, I don't know if they sweep UW lacrosse. Only 2 teams all season have swept lacrosse. I think Oshkosh, because of how highly they're ranked, they could sweep them, but I think this will most likely go 4, and Oshkosh will win 3-1 on the road.
And we'll look at the upcoming events. So tomorrow will be women's tennis at lacrosse, women's volleyball at lacrosse, like we mentioned. That's going to be on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Then at 7 p.m., UW Oshkosh will be facing off against Carroll for women's soccer. And then the funny thing on that, guys, I will be doing color commentary for Titan TV for that game for Carroll. I just found that out about an hour ago. First time ever doing soccer, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the men's and women's dive teams will be competing on Saturday. And then UW Oshkosh takes on UW Eau Claire in the biggest matchup in UW Oshkosh school history, with it being the 100th homecoming.
Junks, I gotta ask you. I know your real name is Braden, but a lot of us just up here call you Junkers or Junks. Have you ever actually watched a soccer game? Or I'm kind of curious. How familiar are you with soccer?
I have watched a little bit of soccer. More or less, I have to brush up a little bit. I have some confidence in myself. I know the ins and outs of soccer. I know what we got to do. I have to do a little bit of prep work in time, but everything's going to go okay with this. I promise you that.
I don't know if I've ever heard of an offensive lineman moving from, talking about football to soccer. That's kind of interesting. But, best of luck on the call for that one. Hopefully they put up some goals in that game. The last game I called for soccer, it was 0-0, so that was not as exciting. But, they were able to score once against Stout, and then Stout scored 2 unanswered, so I guess we won't know what we'll see from the Titan soccer team.
They're 4-4-4, so this team, it's more or less just you got to be able to find some offense.
Yeah, I like soccer when it comes to the World Cup. All about America in that World Cup. Other than that, FIFA's cool. What's your favorite soccer formation, Braden?
I kind of have to brush up on that a little bit.
Oh, man.
But, we're going to quick step aside. Again, this segment of UW Oshkosh Athletics. When we come back, it's time to look at the Milwaukee Brewers and the bad boy Los Angeles Dodgers of L.A. Again, you're listening to the Sports Page here on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh and watching on WRST's YouTube channel.
If I could be you.
And you could be me.
Oh, boy.
That was good.
others' mind.
I like that.
Well, Marzu asked me if I would want to color. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, they asked me to do
They
it,
asked
but I
me
had
too.
work.
Yeah,
I had
I'm
work.
like, I'm calling 2 games this week as it is. I don't know if I can call a third.
Right.
We can change that.
Don't worry, Link. I'll have my prep work in time. You got to teach me some of
Yeah,
this
if you
stuff.
need any help, formations, it goes defense, midfield, then offense. So 4-4-2 is 4 defenders, 4 mids, 2.
4-4-2.
Yeah.
You got color?
Yeah.
Oof.
That's
I
going
would
to be
not want
rough.
to do color for soccer.
I had to add that in though. That was a pretty
No,
good
that was
segment.
good. That was good. I liked it.
All right. One games to nil, and Julio Rodriguez started it off with a 3-run homer. But I mean, right now it's a back and forth matchup between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. And Justice, like we talked about last show, postseason heroes 2 shows ago. I said Cal Raleigh. Who came up with a big home run last night when they were down 1-0 to Kevin Gausman?
Yeah, that's fair, but I'm not going to go down the list of all my postseason heroes that have worked out. And also, I think right now I'm perfect in my predictions. So,
And just to add to that, Jorge Polanco
he's so hot.
made
right
it
now.
a 6-3 game, a 3-run home run just now as we're on air. Like, this is unbelievable. I think everybody wants a Brewers versus Mariners World Series. I'm not being biased, folks. I promise you that. But I'm just a Brewers fan who wants to see both teams of the World Series. But now, moving over from Canada to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Dodgers, Brewers. Justice, what you got to add?
One note just on the Mariners. That Jorge Polanco pickup, I mean, it was such a high reward, low risk move. The guy, a veteran guy, you add a switch hitting bat who it just rakes, I guess, in the postseason. They found their Kike Hernandez, man. Oh my goodness.
And we're going into game 1 of the NLCS, and the Brewers, for the first time since 2018, were not a first-round exit, folks. Not a first-round exit, but they're facing off against the team that broke everyone's hearts back in 2018, and that's the LA Dodgers, which this team looks completely different now. They don't have Yasiel Puig, Chris Taylor. They got the superstars. They got Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player right now in all of baseball, and then Mookie Betts. 3 MVPs. I mean, it's unbelievable. As before we get into everything, we'll look at the lineup card for both teams. Dave Roberts has his lineup card going against the opener and Aaron Ashby. So down the line will be Shohei Ohtani leading off. He's the designated hitter. Mookie Betts is batting second, Manning shortstop, Teoscar Hernandez, the right fielder, is going to be batting third. Freddie Freeman in the cleanup spot. He's at first. Will Smith, he's in the 5 spot catching. Tommy Edman, the former Cardinal, is at second base. Max Muncy is at third base. He's batting 7th. Batting 8th, Kike Hernandez in left field. And rounding out the order is Andy Pajes. And then for the Brewers, down the line it goes Jackson Chourio leading off. He's in right field. A little bit of a shakeup not having Chourio in left or center field. Christian Yelich batting second. He's the DH. William Contreras, he's batting third. Bryce Terang batting fourth. Manning second base. Andrew Vaughn, the man that saved Milwaukee against the Cubs, he's batting fifth. Sal Frelick batting in the 6th spot. He's in center field. Caleb Durbin is at third base and batting 7th. And Jacob, your man Isaac Collins in the 8th spot, getting the first start of the postseason. We saw a fist pump for that one. And Joey Ortiz rounding out the order. Justice, how do you feel on both of these lineups going up against the pitching matchup of Blake Snell for the Dodgers and Aaron Ashby, the opener for the Brewers?
There's not much to say about that Dodgers lineup. I mean, it's just the squad. What Chourio and Wright tells me is that he is not 100% still nursing that hamstring. That could be an issue going on in this series. I like Sal in center. He's a good center fielder, and I want to keep his bat in the lineup. Although I do think it's interesting going with Frelick in center, the lefty, instead of Perkins, the switch hitter in center against Blake Snell, the lefty.
And the big thing is, though, it's going to be a tough series. This is basically David versus Goliath. I don't like to bring that up because the Brewers are the best team in all baseball. The Dodgers have the payroll to be the best in the league. And this Brewers team, 6-0 against the Dodgers this year. It's different from the regular season to the postseason. Everybody says that. The Dodgers still had their top 4 bats against the Brewers. The only guy they didn't have was Blake Snell. They still had Ohtani. They still had everybody. Ohtani wasn't pitching at the time, but they still got their big boppers. Heck, Andrew Vaughn, in his first at-bat as a Brewer, he took Yoshinobu Yamamoto yard. This is a Brewer squad that I feel like can finally get back to the World Series for the first time since 1982. This is the team to do it because they have everything that they need. They have pitching, defense, and offense. That's all I got to say. It's right there. You just got to make sure that you are the first team to strike against the Dodgers, and you got to make sure the Dodgers are behind you the whole game.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to get off to a fast start, especially in front of the home crowd at American Family Field. They have to be patient at the plate against Blake Snell, who walks a ton of guys, 18th percentile in walks in the league, and specifically the slider. He loves to throw that outside to the left-handed batter, but inside to the righty, but he doesn't spot it well. And if the Brewers can play Brewer baseball like their identity has been all season, woodpeck, chip away, foul pitches off when they need to, work walks, work the count, get Snell out of this game early and get into the bullpen to set up the good matchup for the Brewers in Game 2 and try and get that bullpen tuckered out early in the series, and a bullpen that hasn't been that great for the Dodgers. I mean, that is the most important part. The Brewers need to stick to their guns, be the woodpeckers we know they are, not this 3 solo home run crap that we saw on Saturday. I mean, I'm okay with it, but we need the Brewers to be the Brewers against a team like the Dodgers.
And I'm looking at it, their bullpen does have Michael Kopech, does have Kirby Yates, does have Tanner Scott. Those were 3 guys. Michael Kopech was a deadline acquisition last year with Tommy Edman. Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott were 2 free agents that are not on the NLCS roster. This Dodger bullpen is not as intimidating as everybody thinks it is. They do not. The only 2 guys that you might be worried about is Clayton Kershaw and Roki Sasaki. And Roki Sasaki was a failed starter that found success in the bullpen. But the only thing is, though, if you get to Blake Snell, the bullpen has to be stretched. And you go back-to-back games today and tomorrow. You're off Wednesday. And then games 3 through 5 are all in L.A. 3 days in a row. It's going to be you have to get to their starters and make sure that their bullpen is not good. And make sure their bullpen is tuckered out before you can strike it. Jacob, what would you have to add on all that stuff?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how long Ashby goes in this one. I mean, the last couple games, last game that he pitched in was only a third of an inning, but before that, he pitched in, inning and a half, or inning and a third, I should say, inning and 2/3. I guess my kind of question for you guys is, do you think he'll go at least 2 innings or not? Because the last couple games that he has pitched in, I mean, he's given up runs whenever he's gone more than a third of an inning. I mean, on last Thursday, pitched an inning and a third, gave up a hit and a run, walked 2 batters, and then last Monday went an inning and 2/3. He gave up 3 hits and 3 earned runs, including a home run and 2 walks. So how long do you think the leash is for Ashby in this one? And then kind of who do they go with after Ashby? Do they maybe go with Quintana or somebody like that, or who are they going to go with?
I like Ashby out of in the opening spot because this Dodgers, they bring out a lot of power lefties. You look at Ohtani, Freddie Freeman's always liable to do whatever he wants. That guy's awesome and has been awesome for like the past century, it feels. Max Muncy, another guy who's a lefty. Keeping those guys out, and I think there's a couple other power lefties on the bench. Keep them out of the lineup as long as you can, because when they come in, it can be really big trouble. The Brewers, though, I mean, they're good. Their bullpen has been really good. I think you go with Quintana, but we said that all of last series, and he just never appeared. Other than that, was it Game 4, I believe? He saved some innings in the blowout, but I think it has to be Quintana. Get that veteran guy in there and eat up some innings and hopefully put the Brewers in a good position to win the game.
My guy that I think will be the big guy, I say we use Quintana as almost the wooden duck. Just of like, okay, they're bringing the lefty, and you bring in the fireball and Tobias Myers, who gets the spot on a roster for Nick Mears. He has playoff experience against the Mets. We remember in Game 3 of 2024, he went out there and he did what he needed to do. 6 shutout innings. He's going to play a huge factor in this game. I think there's a lot of guys, but I mean, it's going to be Quintana or it's going to be Myers. And the one guy, though, that we need to talk about that could be a huge factor, Chad Patrick. 4 2/3 of the inning in his playoff experience. No hits, no runs. He has been lights out.
Yeah, I mean, Chad Patrick has been a really big thing. But almost a different topic entirely. What about the snub of Nick Mears? Nick Mears is not on the NLCS playoff roster for the Brewers.
I think the big thing that people are talking about is Mears 100% good to go? He had back issues in the season. Is he just nursing something and Murph is trying to be like, we don't need you risking anything and having an injured guy on the roster? Same thing with DL Hall. He's not on the roster, and he has been nursing an injury for a while. We saw him in the late area of September. Still haven't seen him. But, I mean, it's just going to be, I think Murph wants to roll with the guys that are healthy but will make an impact.
Murph officially commented that they are prioritizing length with as many pitching spots as possible to cover them in, of course, the best of 7 as opposed to the best of 5 against the Cubs in the NLDS.
As we're now going to flip over, who is one guy for each team that you think will make an impact? My guys right now for the Dodgers, it's going to be Freddie Freeman. He is a great player, 14 home runs, 36 RBIs in his postseason career with a 271 average and an 869 OPS. But in this postseason, he has been 5 for 23 for an average of 217, no home runs, no RBIs, and a 637 OPS. For the Brewers-wise, as a Brewers fan, you cannot let Freddie Freeman get hot. If Freddie Freeman gets hot, we saw it in the World Series. He got World Series MVP against the Yankees. You have to be able to contain Freddie Freeman because he's going to be able, when the lights are bright, he shines. And then for my Brewers guy, the man that basically solidified himself as Mr. Brewer, it's Christian Yelich. Back in 2018, he was the MVP, but when they played the Dodgers, he's a hometown kid. He's from Westlake, California. He's from Westlake Village, California. I feel like when the lights got bright, he just couldn't handle it being in the spotlight back home where he grew up. He is an career average of 241 in the postseason with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and a 272 OPS. Those 2 home runs haven't happened since 2018 one against the Dodgers, one against the Rockies. Right now he's batting .263 with a .680 OPS. If the Brewers want to make a run and make it to the World Series, Christian Yelich has to be firing on all cylinders. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, for me, it's going to have to be for the Dodgers, Max Muncy, third baseman. Maybe they'll employ him at some other spot. He's played first base, second base throughout his career. The big thing for me is, and I kind of picked this with Vaughn game 2 last week, is his splits against lefties, righties. Versus lefties as a left-handed hitter, he's only hitting 157 with a 564 OPS. Against righties, he's got a 267 batting average, but with a power guy like Muncy, we're not looking at that. We're looking at a 923 OPS. So, like I said, keeping that lefty on the mound is so important for the Brewers. And then another stat that I wanted to pull for the Dodgers was Max Muncy. Against fastballs above 95 miles per hour, he's hitting 373 in 51 at-bats. I mean, this guy crushes speed. And really the Dodgers do. Almost every Dodgers starter above 250, which is very interesting because the Brewers employ a lot of fireballers out of that bullpen. And then for my Brewers pick, I have to go with, I would say, other than Christian Yelich, the team captain, the guy who's the voice on the field, William Contreras. He's been shockingly good defensively since getting to Milwaukee. But what he's done offensively in the playoffs with very, very clutch home runs that have very clearly got this Brewers crowd getting into it, he needs to be able to do that on the road in Dodger Stadium and against the left-handed hitting like he does. But it's those 2-strike approaches from William Contreras that are so important because a lot of guys nowadays, you see the big stride, pull the leg up. Contreras doesn't do that. He switches to the toe tap. Sometimes he doesn't even stride, just push that ball into right field. These guys need to be woodpeckers. William Contreras needs to be the face of that this series.
Link, who do you have as your guys to watch for this series for both teams?
Well, first off, for the Dodgers, kind of going to go with Teoscar Hernandez. He's a guy that this season has 25 home runs. He did only bat .259, so he's mostly just a power hitter. But over the last couple of games that he's played against a lefty pitcher, he's hit .286 with 4 hits and a home run, 3 RBIs. So he has been playing pretty well against left-handed hitters, or left-handed pitchers, I should say. So I think this is a guy that we should kind of look out for offensively for the Dodgers, especially because if you look at, again, that Phillies series, he did have a home run, a couple of RBIs for him as well. So I think we're just kind of awaiting to maybe wake up the beast that Hernandez kind of is. When he gets a hold of a ball, I mean, that thing travels a long way. And while he's not the main source of offense just because they have so many options, he's definitely a guy that I think could make his name kind of shown throughout this 7-game series. And on the other side for the Brewers, I'm going to go with Sal Frelick. Sal Frelick is, such a good glove. I think he's a guy that is severely underrated when it comes to, outfielders in all of the majors. In my opinion, he really should have been an all-star because he hit .288. I mean, of course, I don't know. He was above around the 300 mark during the all-star break. So he has a good glove. Hit around 300 during the all-star break. Finished the season .288 with 12 home runs, 63 RBIs, and over the season too against lefties, he's hit .301 with 15 RBIs. So I think we could see this guy maybe pop off and kind of show the MLB world who Sal Frelick really is, because I don't think people really understand how good he has been so far this season.
And just to add on that, Jacob, Sal Frelick this offseason put on 20 pounds of muscle. We're talking about a guy that played hockey in high school. He's a physical player. You really don't get those kind of scrappy hockey players that play baseball anymore. And I mean, Sal Frelick, 12 home runs. He had 2 all of last year. He I don't even know what to say. He added 10 more home runs. Double-digit home runs from a guy like Sal is unbelievable. And now for you guys, the final thing is we have 5 minutes left on our show. Who's winning this series and heading to the World Series? Who do you guys got? Justice?
I mean, I feel like it's an unfair question, right? I mean, I can't really switch my answer here. I went with the Brewers, and the prediction, was that a week ago? 2 weeks ago now? It feels like forever ago, right? I got to go with the Brewers. I think they're going to get it done 6 or 7. You know, I mean, I think this series is going to be a long one, and it's going to be very stressful for both fan bases, Brewers fans, much more.
Jacob, what is your prediction?
Well, like I've said this multiple times, I'm never going to predict the Brewers to make it to the World Series until they actually do. I don't want to jinx anything. And especially the way they looked against the Cubs, I nearly had a heart attack watching Game 5. So I don't know. I think in my heart I want the Brewers to make the World Series, but the Dodgers are the Dodgers. And there is a reason why people hate the fact that there's not a salary cap. You look at how much money they have spent. I think they have, if you look at the potential for both teams, I think the Dodgers have a higher potential. But I think the Brewers are just like the Cinderella story that everybody's kind of looking for. And I really want to see the Cinderellas beat the Giants and the Dodgers.
Going on that budget point, right, the salary cap, it was actually a really good article by Jeff Passan posted today. He said that this matchup is the poster child for if baseball is going to be played in 2027 with the agreements that have to go on between the owners and the Players Association. If the Brewers win, it can be proved that, you know, maybe we don't need a salary cap. You know, teams that don't spend as much still can compete. But if the Dodgers win, there's that conversation of, okay, maybe we have priced teams out of the big spots in the playoffs. It was a really good article. I would recommend going to it.
Oh boy, my pick now. I guess a lot of pressure on this.
You got about 2 minutes, Junkers.
I'm going to make it plain and simple. We beat the Dodgers. How many games this year? We played 6. How many did the Dodgers win? 0.
How many players are the Dodgers missing?
Injuries.
Or Tony's going to pitch in this series.
All I'm going to say, you hear the number that the Brewers won with? That's 6. The Dodgers won with 0. Give me Brewers in 6. We're going to the series. We're going to dance with Seattle and get a crown for Bob Uecker, for the man above. Because you want to know what? That's what this team does. We're undaunted. Right now, I'm looking at ESPN. It says the Dodgers are going to win this game 52.3%, the matchup predictor. 47.7% for the Brewers. ESPN can say what they want. MLB Network can say what they want. TBS can say what they want, except for Brian Anderson, because he's going to be on the call. All I'm saying is, Brewers in 6. We'll be back next week talking about more Brewers. And this will conclude the sports page here on 90.3 WRST-FM Oshkosh.
WRST digital
Cool.
Done.
Nice job, guys.
Done.
The Vin Scully, Bobby